What's up, Sons of Montezuma? Fall camp has begun, and Aztecs football season is getting a little bit closer. And today, we sit down with San Diego State wide receiver number 83, Mekhi Shaw. Welcome back to the Sons of Montezuma podcast. I'm your host, Mateo. You can find me at Mateo San Diego. And of course, you could find us on Twitter at Sons of Monty, Instagram, Facebook. Be sure to click that like and subscribe button down below if you are watching on YouTube, and give us a good or bad review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. And for all of our news articles and all of our custom NIL merch, be sure to go to sonsofmontezuma.com and our online shop. I am joined with my co-host Dirtball Dan, and we love to read all your comments, so make sure you list them down below. Today's guest is making his Sons of Montezuma podcast debut, and he earned it the hard way. A hometown hero from San Diego, California, where he attended Scripps Ranch High. He was a walk-on his redshirt freshman season back in 2020, where he worked with the cornerbacks. In 2021, he earned playing time at the wide receiver position in 12 games, starting in 1. And last year in 2022, this young man had a breakout season when the red and black needed it the most. Making 29 catches, 349 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Those were crucial catches, most notably against Hawaii in that final game-winning drive, and his 2-touchdown reception night on the road against New Mexico. After displaying the kind of clutch performances that helped salvage the season, all of this young Aztecs hard work paid off when he was awarded a full scholarship by head coach Brady Hoke. We want to welcome to the Sons of Montezuma NIL team, a 2-time Mountain West Scholar athlete and last year's Most Inspirational Player of the Year award winner, number 83, Mekhi Showtime Shaw. How do you like that, Showtime? What's up, Mekhi?
Hey. Pressure picked up, and he throws it across. It's Mekhi Shaw, and he breaks into the end zone. Touchdown, Aztecs.
Like the introduction. Thank you for having me.
Hey, Mekhi, how you doing, man?
Doing good. Thank you.
Well, first off, man, appreciate you joining the NIL team this year. We're very proud and happy to have you on. You know, we want to get to know who you are a little better and let Aztec Nation get to know who you are as well. So tell us, man, Scripps Ranch High, you know, your path to joining the Aztecs is a little similar to one of our favorites, Jesse Matthews. So tell us a little bit about your high school experience and, you know, coming out of Scripps Ranch.
I just it was a normal route for me. Played freshman, JV sophomore year, and then varsity my last 2 years in high school. However, I was offered a PWO when I went to a passing league camp. The passing league camp they do yearly here at San Diego State. And then after Rocky Long had left and then Coach Ho came in, they had fired the coach that had scouted me. So I wasn't really sure if I had my offer still. And at that point, I'd gotten another walk-on offer to Nevada, so I committed there for a little bit. And then Coach Summer had called me and said, you know, we still have your offer on the table. And I said, you know what, it's a lot cheaper, so let me go here.
Nice. Did you have any offers from smaller schools like D2 and stuff like that? Were they ever a consideration?
Yeah, I had talked to a lot of like D3 private liberal arts schools that were like kind of local, LA, Orange County area. I'd also talked to a couple D2 schools that were pretty far away. I didn't really consider going to them, but it would be nice to just, you know, post on Twitter, you know, I have an offer here, because that's usually what brings in more offers. I think besides Nevada and San Diego State, the other school that I was really considering going to was University of Redlands, which is a D3 private liberal arts college.
What do you think? I always wonder this, because obviously you could play at a high major school or high major college football. So what do you think was missing back then during high school, where that school's out on?
I was just a lot smaller than I was now, a lot smaller, and I hadn't really played receiver too much in high school. I got scouted more as a DB, and usually a lot of D1 schools are looking for DBs that are bigger, because defense, is more important that they're bigger. So I'm also I'm younger too. I'm still 20. I'm younger I could be in the grade below, so I feel like that might have contributed to it. But yeah, I think mainly it was just the size and the eye test for me.
Okay, so tell us, that was a couple years ago, and it's kind of easy to see. Okay, the size, that was the issue back then. So tell us where you're at now, man. You've been eating a lot of mom's home cooking lately, or what's going on?
Well, actually, during fall camp last year, I moved out, try to get closer to the campus, so I didn't have to drive as much. Gas was getting a little expensive, but
Yeah.
yeah, I was when I first came to San Diego State, I was 160, and that wasn't really going to cut that corner. Coach Summer was always telling me to gain weight, so I tried my best to. I think after a year, I gained like 12, 15 pounds. I was like 170, and I kind of hovered around there for a good 2 years. And then recently, I've been trying to put on some more weight. So I'm like, right now, I'm at around 188, 190.
Wow, that's a big difference. So you came in on the defensive side, right?
Yeah, came in as a cornerback.
I mean, making that jump from a walk-on to emerging and getting that scholarship spot, have you seen any kind of benefits or anything translating from that?
It's definitely easier, especially now that I moved out, because I was working part-time to try to help with expenses, but I don't really have to work anymore unless it's like some volunteer work that I feel like I want to get done or just some extra cash that I need. But otherwise, I can pay rent without having to worry about anything like that. But otherwise, yeah, it's really just that for me, because football is going to be the same for me regardless whether I'm on scholarship or not. So I'm going to give my all.
Yeah, man. No, I always give a lot of respect to the guys that walk on, and like I said before, we had obviously on last year's team was Jesse, and the determination it takes to actually go after that walk on path. Tell us a little bit about that, working with Jesse these past few years, and now that he's moved on. I mean, what are some of the main things that you maybe took from him on and off the field that kind of helped you in that path to becoming a scholarship athlete?
Thing with Jesse, he wasn't really a loud guy. In that case, in that sense, he'd always, he was a leader and he would lead. He would talk when he needed to, but he would never talk when he didn't need to. He's a quiet leader, led by example for sure. And he always had football in his mind. I feel like he was probably the hardest worker on the team. Whenever we're having walkthroughs or whatnot, he's always on the side working on his releases and whatnot. And that's just something that, only Jesse would do. You look over and see him, it's like, oh, it's just Jesse doing his thing again. Cause that's what he did. He always working on his game. And that's big inspiration to me, because I felt like if I needed to get that scholarship, I needed to prove something. And the fastest way to do that is to, show results on the field.
So how about you? So is your personality similar to Jesse? Or are you more of a quiet guy? Because when we had Jesse on, one of the things I thought was fascinating is like, we asked him, like, who's the big talker on defense? And he said Taylor Hawkins drove him insane, And do you have a same type of dynamic with him? Is there someone that's on the defense that's a talker, or are you more the quiet guy?
I just assume that, all the guys on the defense are talkers. They're all going to talk smack, because, that's just how the defense is. I used to be on defense, but it's kind of changed. I've never really been a talker myself. When it comes to like talking smack on the field, I just kind of let my game do the talking. That's just how I've been.
Well, I love, the route that you've taken. You got to play with that chip on your shoulder. You're trying to earn your spot on the team. You're trying to prove to everybody else around you that you belong. And I'm sure having that mentality, it doesn't leave just because you make the team. Now it's like, okay, well, I gotta show that I can still hang at this level, no matter what anybody else says. But little do some people know that, football, along with like Jesse, he's got some family that, whether in other sports and whatnot, played at state, and, they come from an athletic family as well. That Shaw lineage as well, you carry that with you, that connection for football. I know it's a football family, and, doing some digging and talking to some of your family and getting to know the connections, and, obviously with legendary Coach Willie Shaw and Coach David Shaw are relatives to you as well. Is that something that, you've carried, having that chip on your shoulder, you got that bloodline, so you're going to work towards that?
I've never really actually thought too hard about that, because I've actually never met David Shaw myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I've never thought too hard about that, but it definitely is something that I keep in the back of my mind. Sometimes I'll think about it like, oh, I'll see him on TV, David Shaw, like, oh, snap, like that guy's related to me, and sometimes, it kind of motivates me a little bit. It's part of the reason why I work so hard because, I try to carry on that lineage.
What's the relationship with David? How's he related to you?
He's my dad's cousin.
Oh, nice. And I'm a big David Shaw guy. I loved him as a coach.
Yeah, I used to love watching Stanford growing up.
Yeah.
So I hear you and the family used to go to a lot of Aztec games growing up, right? So were you there in attendance that 2017 year when we beat Stanford in the blackout game?
I was there, yeah. I was pretty young, so I don't even remember it too much, but all I remember is it was like just the one thing I remember was there was one play where we had bust a play down the sideline. And it was like, I think it was a run play. It was a pretty long touchdown. And I was like, man, we're really doing this against Stanford. Like, this is Stanford now. Yeah. That's pretty much like what I remember most from that game.
The weight of that victory. I mean, it was pretty big. That was a big victory for the Aztecs. And yeah, so like I said, man, I mean, you've been able to chop it up with your family a little bit. So from what I understand, your father didn't really play football growing up. He wasn't really necessarily allowed to play or steered in that direction. So, I mean, I have to imagine they're very proud of you. You know what I mean? It's a very big source of pride in being able to see you out there, lace it up and get out there on the field.
Yeah. My Nana didn't really let my dad play football. So I'm thankful to my parents for, letting me play this sport first and foremost. And I know my mom's worried about me all the time. So I can guess that she's pretty proud whenever she can see me play to my full potential.
And from what I understand, you got a brother playing over at USD, correct?
Yeah. He's 2 grades below me, playing running back at USD.
All right, what's that sibling rivalry like, man? Do you guys battle on a few different things, or is it more like you kind of showing him the ropes a little bit? Because I heard you're quite the basketball player as well.
When it comes to everything but football, it's all competitiveness. But when it's football, it's more like we like to support each other more than anything. It's something we take very seriously. So it's not really much competitive when it comes to football, but it's between us.
Okay. Would you say he's your closest sibling out of the younger ones you have?
I don't want to say that, but I guess since he's the second oldest, I've spent the most time with him.
All right.
Hey, Mekhi, so was defense your preference? Like, do you like playing defense better than wide receiver?
In high school, I did, but after my first year of college, I don't really like playing defense too much. So yeah, I definitely say receiver is my preference now. But in high school, I was definitely more of a defensive guy because I played more defense than receiver.
And then at San Diego State, how did the change happen?
When I first got to San Diego State, I was put on scout team offense. Even though I was a DB, I showed up one day and my practice jersey was the offense's color. And I thought they made a mistake. Like, this is my jersey. But I guess it was because I was on scout offense. So I spent the whole year, 2020, on scout offense, and I didn't really get any reps on defense that whole year. And then by the end of the year, we had a youth practice, and they just put me at receiver instead of DB for that whole practice. And I think after that season, they discussed it and made the change.
Hey, Aztec Nation, stop on over to sonsofmontezuma.com, where you can find more SDSU sports, news, articles, podcasts, and the freshest and most unique Aztec-inspired merchandise, including our original NIL shop. Lots of new styles there for both men and women, and even kids. Your support to this channel helps fund a lot more creative ideas. So make sure to stop over to sonsofmontezuma.com. Go Aztecs! Okay, so you're a junior class, correct? This is your junior year?
Well, academically, I'm going into my senior year.
Okay. So last year, like we said, I mean, that was a bit of a breakout year for you. And, despite, the little bit of a slow start on the offensive side of the ball, you were able to catch that rhythm, with Jalen. So, tell us about that first touchdown you had actually, at that FBS level. I mean, do you remember that play? Because that was kind of like you were building up to it, the playing time, the snaps, and
Yeah, the touchdown didn't really hit me until after the game, to be honest, because that was San Jose. That game we started off a little rough, and then JB had that kick return. And I think that's what really got us, things flowing. And that game, I think I had a couple catches before that. I wasn't really thinking like, oh, this is like a chance to score when we got in the red zone, because the play that we had called, I wasn't even like, it wasn't a play designed for me to get into the end zone. It was like more like a short yardage, or not a short yardage, but the route I was running was like a short yardage route, check down route. Moose kept the play alive, and I just kept running my route, ran through and caught the ball. And I was like, when I caught him, like, oh snap, I have a chance to score right here. So yeah, I tried my absolute best to get in that end zone. And yeah, it didn't really hit me till after the game that I scored.
I can't remember if you had a certain celebration or anything like that. I don't know.
No, I didn't know what to do once I got in there. I just kind of ran around, saw my first team. I just went and celebrated with my teammates. That's the first thing I did.
What a great feeling, man! Going from the scout team, opposite side of the ball, now all of a sudden you're thrust in there in the field and you score your first touchdown, man. Awesome.
Oh yeah. So how's your relationship with Jalen? I know, came on the scene pretty much at similar times. Really broke out at the same time. How do you guys get along, or what are you seeing from him this year?
Yeah, I mean, I get along with him good. We're pretty good friends. When he first came in, I didn't really talk to him because I was on the defensive side of things, and I didn't really know any of the offensive players that first year. But even when I switched to receiver in 2021, he wasn't really getting all too many reps, and I wasn't really getting too many reps as well. I still didn't really like talk to him, but when he switched to DB, that was when like I actually started talking to him more. It was when he switched to DB because he talked some smack, and then I joke around with him a little bit, and then when he made the switch to QB, it was only up from there. We just got to know each other better and built that chemistry.
What would you say are some of the differences, now playing with Jalen? He's behind, taking the snaps, because you're talking about going from like 4 different quarterbacks, whether it's, Lucas Johnson or Jordan Brookshire to Braxton, and now, with Jalen back there. I mean, is that lefty spin when it's coming out? Was that a little different at first, or what are some of the things you're getting used to with him now?
Yeah, the lefty is definitely a little different, but I enjoy working with Jalen a little more. I think he's a little more patient quarterback. He likes to take his reads right, and it's a little different from what we've had because I feel like before our QBs, they would rush it sometimes, or they wouldn't really go through the reads. I think a lot of it attributes to Coach Lindley as well, the way he's setting up the offense and what he's doing there. But yeah, playing with Lucas, Brookshire, and Braxton, it was all completely different experiences with all 3 of them.
When they made that turn to announcing that Maiden was QB1 that week against Hawaii, I mean, and where the offense obviously went through its changes, bringing in Coach Lindley and Horton assuming the OC role. I mean, what were some of those responsibilities or routes or just differences in the offense that, I'm sure everything kind of condensed down a little bit for you guys, but, was there something that really stood out in the style and just what they were operating in?
Yeah. Coach Heck was, he was a lot more of a spread guy. I'd say he wanted to spread out the defense, but when Coach Hort and Coach Lindley came in, we did a lot more like pro or I style and I formation stuff under center. Like that was probably the first time we'd been under center in forever. And a lot of play action, running the ball to open up some pass plays with play action and whatnot. Honestly, since we didn't have a lot of time, a lot of the stuff that we did was the same when it came to like, routes and stuff. But Jalen adjusted really fast to that because he trusted Tyrell and Jesse a lot. I think that was a big factor in it as well.
Now, I know Jalen had a pretty good connection with those two. I mean, what are some of the things you learned from Tyrell or Jesse on the field when it comes to aspiring to be that starter that they were?
Yeah, one thing from them is they always had the absolute confidence in themselves. They believed in themselves the most. They're like the type of guys where you come back to the huddle or you come back to the sideline. It's like, hey, I'm open on this play. And that's just kind of. That'll open some eyes for Jalen. Then next time you run that play, he'll look there, and that's really what it was. Just believing in yourself and staying confident because that's really what's going to dictate how well games go for you. Because momentum shifts happen in games all the time, and if you let that momentum, damage your confidence, it's not really going to go well. So you got to stay confident in yourself.
Yeah. So I mean, I know you. I know we got a new wide receiver coach. So where are some differences between Coach Cooper and Coach Kraus, and what are you seeing from Coach Kraus? What does he bring to the
Yeah,
table?
they're. I mean, obviously the biggest difference is the age and their coaching style. Coach Cooper's a old school guy, and Coach Kraus is a younger guy. So Coach Kraus is more like he's breaking it down from the fundamentals from the very beginning. Like release his stance and start, and like from the very beginning. But when I had first switched over to receiver with Coach Coop, he didn't really go over the fundamentals too much. It's more like already assumed you should know that, and we had already jumped in. So you just learn that kind of stuff from the older guys, which is one thing that Coach Coop valued the seniors a lot in that group. So he expected them to teach the younger guys a lot.
Kraus a louder guy, or is he kind of more reserved as well?
I'd say he's a little more reserved than Coach Coop, but I'm not gonna say he's a reserved person. We haven't really he'll speak loud when he needs to, but he's compared to Coach Coop, he's definitely more reserved.
Yeah, I'm excited about this new look offense a little bit, man. So let's talk about this year coming up. A lot of games at home right off the bat, so you really get a chance to show the home crowd, the friends and family, what you guys are going to do this year. To be an Aztec wide receiver, you got to have a strong desire to be that guy, to be that guy on every third down or red zone situation. Is there a situation that stands out to you that you whether it's in last year or in high school that you carry with you moving forward, that a play you may have made in the red zone or in a goal line situation or a third down situation that you kind of draw back on as you move forward in your career and whatnot?
Yeah, I always like to think back to the New Mexico game that I had last year. Not so much as one moment, but throughout the game. I like to I want to show that consistency as much as I can, show that the coaches and the quarterbacks can rely on me to continue to make plays throughout the game. Not just one moment, but consistently throughout the game and throughout the season.
What are you guys seeing, or what do you expect from the passing offense this year? Do you expect to see a little bit more stuff down the field, a little bit more explosive, or what are you looking forward to?
As a wide receiver, obviously I want to, have a lot of explosive plays, between different receivers too, so we can, share the wealth and make it so the DBs have to worry about multiple different receivers as well. But I think just the most important thing is to make our passing game consistent because it hasn't really shown a lot of consistency in the past with obviously all the different quarterbacks and coaching changes. It was more like an off and on kind of thing with the pass game. And I feel like if we really want to succeed offensively, it has to be consistent.
One thing that's always been consistent at State is an effective rushing attack, right? The run game is always been pretty paramount. Of course, we all want to go back into the days of Air Coryell days and throwing the ball around and all that good stuff. But, what's something about your skill set or your game that you feel you're trying to improve on this coming season? I know with Jesse was something he was talking about his shiftiness or having a little bit more wiggle after the catch. I mean, is there something that you're targeting that you're dedicated on working towards?
Yeah, for sure. A big focus for me has been my fundamentals and my route running. If I can make my route running a lot better, I can add more to it. Making my route running better will open the game up for me. Another big thing for me is just to work on my contested catches, get 50-50 balls more to 80-20, 90-10, so that QB Moose can rely on me more for just throwing it up if he needs to.
Where do you expect your added size and strength to come in? Where do you see the benefit there? Is it yards after catch or getting off the line, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, it'll definitely help me in press coverage for sure. Bigger DBs that try to press me, making contested catches as well. So I have stronger hands, stronger grip on the ball. It also helped me not get injured as much if I get hit by a bigger linebacker or whatnot. Smaller stuff like that, I think it'll help me out a lot.
Is there anything in the offseason, maybe you and the rest of the guys in the wide receiver core, how's that off season treated you guys as a unit?
It's good. It's definitely a new look for us, new coach, a lot of new faces are going to get on the field. So I think this offseason's treated us well. We've been able to start from the bottom and build up our skill set, and then spend a lot of time with each other, get to know each other better, and learn just to play for each other.
So for those that don't know, kind of even myself, what is the summer like for you before fall camp? How much contact do you have with the coaches, the training staff? Like, what's a typical day for you?
The summer, it's a lot of just morning workouts, weightlifting, running. Really not much beyond that. Anything else you do is on your own. We spend most of our time with Coach Hall. The coaches are there for the run days usually, but most of our time is spent with Coach Hall and Coach Jerk in the weight room. Besides working with Coach Hall, we'll get together with QB sometimes, run some routes for him.
Yeah, man, the chemistry is definitely apparent, seeing you guys in that connection, man. He says you guys are music friends, man. I know he's a musician. He says he's got you beat on some old school music. He likes to send you some tracks.
He don't got me beat.
What type of stuff is he sending you, man? What kind of stuff? What are we talking about here?
It's all old school stuff. He whenever we get in that locker room and play some music, we a lot of the time when we're in the locker room, our teammates like to play hype stuff, a whole bunch of rap and whatnot. But sometimes it'd be a little too early for that, or we're just trying to chill. So throwing some old school kicks that just some chill vibe music, nothing too crazy, and that's usually what we talk about when it comes to music.
What are we talking about here, though? Your old school is probably way different than my old school, man. I'm actually old school.
Well, I'll throw in the locker room, sometimes some DeBarge or maybe some Earth, Wind, and Fire or whatnot, some old 80s stuff that, just chill.
Some real music. There we go. Well, cool, man. I'm excited for this year coming up, Mekhi. Like, I think a ton of potential in this offense. And, just seeing it's kind of like what Dan said the other day, it's like some new blood, it's a new look, fresh start.
Yeah, sure.
And
that's what I'm excited to see, some opportunities to other kids and the younger players. And I love the players that were there last year in the wide receiver room, but I want to see the young ones too that we really didn't get to see as much.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what they can do too. Because I think the only ones that's remaining that have been on the field is me. Breon played some last year, and then Josh Nicholson got in also, and that was about it. So everyone else is new to it.
Now, one thing I'm curious about before we let you go, because I know it's getting late. One thing I'm curious about is, with all this conference expansion talk, I mean, it's all over the place. Like San Diego State is on the national talk radio shows, television shows, YouTube. It's all over the place. It's crazy. Tell us, has this whole expansion talk, has it been a little bit of a distraction here in the off season, or has it been like a fun discussion between you and the rest of the guys?
I'd definitely say it's been more of a fun discussion, because we're only worried about one thing, and that's getting stronger, that's getting faster, that's getting better. So when it comes to all this conference realignment stuff, I kind of stopped paying attention to it a while ago once it started getting a little confusing for me. So I just been focused on what I was doing, because the conference realignment, I'll let the people that are supposed to be worry about it, and I'll just do my own job, which is play football.
Man, I was going to ask you for a prediction. What's going to happen?
Yeah, I stopped paying attention a while ago, so I don't really know what's going on. I just know that we're back in the Mountain West, I think, something like that. I don't know.
I think there's a lot that are with you with that, man. It's like after a certain point, it's kind of just wake me up when we're landed somewhere. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
Real quick before you leave, you said academically you're on your senior year. Do you have another year of eligibility football wise, like a COVID year? Or?
Including this year, I have 3 years of football left. I have a COVID year and then a redshirt year.
Oh wow! Okay, cool, man.
How do you feel about that, man? I mean, that's a pretty sizable amount of time. I mean, to see what you've already done last year and knowing that you got some time to really put yourself together in a good spot.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of time to get some extra education in as well. Also a lot of time to work on my game too, because now that I have a scholarship, I feel like I can really devote myself to becoming a better player. So,
man, if you stayed, man, you could have your master's done.
Yeah, that's cool.
Man, that'd be cool.
And what is it? You're studying biology, correct?
Yeah, I'm studying biology.
Any thoughts of after football, or what your planning on studying towards your profession?
Yeah, my end goal is I want to eventually become a nurse. That's my end goal. There's a little complications when it comes to like after school after I graduate, but there's definitely multiple pathways to it. So I'll find a way to get that.
Awesome. Well, Mekhi, got anything else, Dan? Pretty good.
Man, I just want to thank him for his time. Thank you for being on the team.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
The newest member of the Sons of Montezuma NIL team, man. How do you feel about these shirts that are going to be made available for fans to get?
Yeah, my family's been pestering me about them, so I'm excited to get them out.
We're excited for what you're going to do this year and the rest of the team. Mekhi, I want to thank you for your time, man, and hopefully we'll do this again very soon.
Thanks, Mekhi. Have a good one.
Have a good one.
All right, Dan, let me ask you this. After talking with Mekhi Shaw, this is a very different looking wide receiver core coming into this 2023 year for the Aztecs. I mean, I'm looking at names that most Aztec Nation probably won't be familiar with. I mean, we're looking at Raphael Williams Jr., Josh Nicholson. I know we're looking at Breon Penny, right? We're really excited about his senior year. And of course, Mekhi's right there in the mix amongst others. I mean, what is your overall take on this wide receiving core with a new wide receiver coach, as we said, Coach Kraus? I mean, it's going to be a big challenge for a lot of these guys.
Yeah, they're definitely going to have to step up. It's kind of when I think about them all, there's a trait that's different for each one. When I think, like when you say, Shaw, I think of more like a reliable possession type receiver, great in the slot. And maybe he'll show a little bit more explosiveness with the added size and strength. Mm-hmm. And then when I see Nicholson, I think speed. He's a speed guy. Yeah. He's he's probably one of the faster players on the team. And then Breon Penny is a size, right? So it's like I feel like each are bringing a little bit different to the table. I think the wild card in it is going to be Williams, the transfer from Western Carolina, right? Raphael Williams.
Yeah, Raphael Williams Jr. 5'10", 165 he's noted as, but he comes in with some very impressive stats. We've heard a lot of these attributes, like what you're saying with Breon and Josh, speedsters, physical guys. It's been a lot that we've all heard and kind of talked about, but there's just not a lot of opportunities that we've been able to see it yet. So it's interesting. There's a lot of wonderment behind this wide receiver core.
Yeah, and then we have the new coach too. Yeah. So it's one of the things I thought was interesting that he said it was going back to the fundamentals that even you would have thought that when Mekhi he was playing defense, right? So he probably could have used a refresher on the fundamentals coming into the offense side, and now he's really focusing on it this year. To me, I mean, it was just an interesting comment. I mean, I think fundamentals should always be taught and always refreshed. I mean, obviously, Hunky Cooper has been doing this, more than anyone, has more experience than I'll ever have and knows more than I'll ever have. But, I mean...
That was not a popular move. That wasn't a popular move. I mean, come on, let's be real. That was not a popular move when they let Coach Hunky go or when he moved on, whatever it was. I mean, I had never really seen vocally online as many former players and current players that you could tell it wasn't a popular move.
Hunky's one of these guys that comes across as like almost a father figure to a lot of different players. Absolutely. So I think there's like a different dynamic which you see with Coach Kraus. But when we talk to different people that watch this offense play, people with coaching experience, Coach C, your friend, he noticed big time timing issues between the wide receivers and the quarterback, like fundamental type issues where it just didn't seem like it was a flow. It didn't seem like they were on the same page. So it makes me wonder if, maybe going back to fundamentals could have been helpful at the time, We
can only speculate, but I agree with what you're saying, maybe just being on the same page needed a refresher, obviously. And so it's a new look offense, new offensive staff, for the most part. Coach Lindley, interested to see how these wide receivers play into that offense, which he's noted he wants to be more of like a Utah style of offense. And Utah's known for their tight ends, which we'll probably get into another episode. But It's gonna be interesting, man. These wide receivers, one thing they're gonna need to know how to run block.
Yeah, they say that. We've always said that, but that should be
Hey.
that should be that's been the problem. Is we're focusing on the wrong thing. We need wide receivers that could go get that damn ball, dude, and go make some plays and be explosive.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
Give me an explosive wide receiver that can't run block over a run blocking wide receiver that create plays.
Yeah, I feel you. Well, I like it, man. I'm excited to have Mekhi on the team. Excited to see what these young guys can do, and they'll get their opportunity that first week against Ohio, and then Idaho State at home. They're gonna need it. They're gonna need that experience under their belt. So, all right, Dan, thank you for joining, man. I really enjoyed this interview. I think it was pretty cool. We interrupt this special episode. We're going into overtime, and this is a first for us with any of our shows, but we felt it was important. Since we posted our feature article and audio podcast last week with Mekhi Shaw, some incredible developments have taken place that we wanted to share. Earlier in this video, we detailed how Mekhi's father, Mike Shaw, is related to Coach David and his father, longtime college and NFL coach and Lincoln High alumnus, Willie Shaw. Willie is Mike's uncle. Mekhi's parents were amazingly gracious enough to share with Sons of Montezuma that the dynamics of that family connection, while very proud, somewhat estranged over the years due to the absence of Mike's father, Mekhi's grandfather. Well, the article made its way up to Coach Uncle Willie, and since then, he delivered some news to Mekhi's father, Mike, that he wasn't aware of. Something that he didn't know, Mekhi didn't know, and of course, Aztec Nation obviously didn't know. And that was that Mike's father, Mekhi's grandfather, actually played at San Diego State as a defensive back under Coach Don Coryell, freshly enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame coach, Don Coryell. His name's Michael Shaw, and according to Coach Willie, he actually coached his brother Michael first at the JC level at San Diego City College, where we see Coach Willie down below, and some of the rest of the team there at the old Balboa Stadium downtown. And now Michael Shaw, Mekhi's grandfather, up in the top left corner there, number 80. From what Coach Willie says, Michael Shaw transferred over to SDSU, which was incredibly common back in those days and was a huge component to Coach Coryell's strategy for building winning teams back in those years. JC transfers were often expected at times to have a leg up on their counterparts when they were able to play meaningful snaps, right away as freshmen and sophomores, and they would come into SDSU ready to go with game time experience under their belts. And apparently, Michael Shaw also went on to play in the USFL. So, of course, we wanted to see if there was anything more we could find out and do some digging. So we reached out to our SDSU historian, true son of Montezuma, Ken Abels, son of the greatest Aztecs fan and supporter of all time, the late Tom Abels. Although there wasn't much we could find in terms of periodicals or photography of Michael Shaw during those brief 2 years at SDSU, Ken was able to locate this 1973 San Diego State University football roster in the official media guide. And there you see down below alphabetically, number 26, Mike Shaw, defensive back, 6'1¼ 181 pounds, age 22, senior out of San Diego. No doubt, Michael played for one of the greatest head coaches of all time in 72, and on this specific roster, it was actually Coach Claude Gilbert's first season taking over for Don Coryell when he was hired in his first NFL job with the St. Louis Cardinals. That 1973 team, that Aztecs team, finished with 9 wins, many of which were blowouts, most notably that famous 38-17 victory at home over Florida State and a 41-29 victory at home against Iowa State. The only official loss that season was a 14-9 nail-biter to the Houston Cougars, a team that was number 13 in the nation. So again, just a remarkable revelation for Mike, for Mekhi, and all their immediate family to discover all these years later after not knowing. For them, despite not having that immediate connection to the elder Michael Shaw, in their own way, their football family branch in the Shaw family tree is continuing to grow with Mekhi, and what do you know? He found his way to San Diego State as well. You know, when it comes to matters of family, especially for our seniors and our little ones, you know, they're precious, right? So again, we just want to say a big thank you to the entire Shaw family for allowing us to share this story with you, our expanded Aztec Nation. It's our hope that these findings only bring about good thoughts, pride, and a greater sense of our San Diego community. And that's going to do it for this episode of the Sons of Montezuma podcast. I want to thank Dirtball Dan for joining me, and of course, Mekhi Shaw. Very excited for the young man. If you guys are watching this, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Appreciate all your support and all these player interviews with our latest Sons of Montezuma NIL team members. Check out all our news articles and, of course, the online shop at sonsofmontezuma.com. And, hey, as we get closer to opening day, feel free to send us some comments and let's connect. We want to see you at the tailgate. Until next time, sonsofmontezuma.com. Go Aztecs.
Yo, 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 yo.